What am I going to do with my NIO stock holdings? I still want to remind you guys all that NIO is still doing fairly well. This is bad. This is very bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Several things we're going to talk about. Investor sentiment just absolutely crashed. What's happening with ET5 and ET5 orders? So the breaking news, of course, Evergrande filed for bankruptcy in the United States, which is a huge backstab to China. And I'll explain the severity, the magnitude of this. It is beyond severe. And the reasoning why this also affects NIO stock as well. As you can see in pre-market, as of recording this video, NIO dropped to 11.01. People are not reacting well to this news because of what it means. Now, Evergrande declaring bankruptcy in the United States is escalating things further because the fact that there's no bailout for Evergrande, and I'm sure Evergrande really wanted a bailout, but by doing that, declaring bankruptcy in the United States, they are essentially trying to leverage the situation and make things much worse intentionally. And this is very bad. And by declaring bankruptcy over there, they would have to hand over the audit manuscripts. And this is the really messed up part, because remember, China does not want audit manuscripts to be handed over. And even a while back when DD delisted, it was all because of audit manuscripts. This move by Evergrande's boss could be just a revenge move for the Chinese government making those 3 red line policies that really mess things up for them. And it's a real big loss for everybody. This move can also be interpreted as them trying to block U.S. creditors first, even though the U.S. debt is a small portion of their total overall debt. This has really just lowered investor trust in China. People that bought homes that weren't built, they absolutely get wrecked. The homes are rotten end homes. They're never going to be finished, but their money is gone and they still have to pay the mortgage. Investors are obviously screwed, of course. And then now China's government also kind of got screwed over by this move. And this does not help investor sentiment in Chinese stocks. So this bad news could not have come at a worse time. It's a developing story. You guys should keep on following what's going on with that. And then, of course, the ET5 discounts. The discounts, I talked about it in one of my previous videos, but now it's sort of made official and public, and it's gotten a lot of publicity. Now people are saying, oh my God, discount up to 24,000 for inventory cars. But what's the main shocking factor is not the 24,000. That's a lot. That's a decent amount. This discount, of course, only applies for inventory cars that have been built for more than 90 days and not sold. So there's a lot of these ET5s. But the most shocking part is the one that's been the longest is more than 200 days old. So you're telling me there's an ET5 that was built and it's been sitting there for 200 days. Holy smokes. Obviously, these vehicles do warrant a discount. Sure, 200 days might not seem like a lot, okay? That discount is absolutely necessary, but it kind of shows how right now, even with the price cut and ET5 and ET5T deliveries at around 1,500 a week, there are still these inventory cars that haven't been sold. And mind you, inventory cars, when a sales rep sells an inventory car, they get 6,000 RMB bonus, which is 3 times that of a normal car. So it's absolutely insane to think that even with those bonuses, these cars have not been sold. Unbelievable. It's really just a slew of bad news that really punched us back and forth here in China. Investor sentiment is just terrible. People are wondering, what is the government going to do to boost investor sentiment? They're all speculating all sorts of things. And you know what the government comes up with? The government wants to increase trading hours by 1 hour here in China. And people are saying, how is that going to help us? And mind you, trading hours end at 3 p.m. here in China. People are saying, so before my stock portfolio will drop until 3 p.m. and then after 3 p.m. I can breathe, take a breath. Now I have to watch it drop for another 1 hour. Some other people commenting, do these policymakers really expect that last hour to be like a bull hour? And there's also talks about T+0, meaning They want to trade on Saturdays as well, and as if that's going to help the stock market here in China. Low pessimistic investor sentiment because all the data, the CPI and all that stuff from July was just not good. And if you look at the RMB to USD currency, RMB has really depreciated like crazy, surpassing 7.3. And this really shows that people are very pessimistic about the Chinese economy. And also, investors are expecting that China will lower interest rates, and they sort of have to lower interest rates. And hence, people are moving their money away from RMB. It's just very, very pessimistic. There's a lot of people, video content creators here in China, that talk about stocks. They only had 2 up days out of the past 17 days. So it's absolutely a massacre. And it seems like the Chinese policymakers, they want to give the impression that they care about investors and say that, hey, in order to boost consumer spending, we got to make investors rich, but they don't actually do anything. This is not good. What am I going to do with my NIO stock holdings? Of course, I'm going to keep on holding my NIO stock holdings, but I'm not going to add to it for right now. And the most scary thing that's coming up, earnings. I'll make a video about earnings expectations, but this is the thing that I was most terrified about, and that's coming up sooner than expected. I was hoping that they would maybe push it to September, but I think this is really gonna surprise a lot of people. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll talk about earnings expectations in another video. But of course, some of my other investments have really paid off. CATL, very strong, holding pretty well. And BNB, crypto short, when I told you guys about it, it was around 240. Now BNB is like 215, 219. That short has paid off massively. I'm holding my NIO stock, ain't gonna add to it, just holding, hodl, hodl, hodl. And on top of all this, Country Garden is expected to be next to fall because it has also defaulted and pretty close to bankruptcy. Sino-Ocean Group also defaulted and very close to bankruptcy. So this is all not good for investor sentiment. But I still want to remind you guys all that NIO is still doing fairly well. So even though here in China everything is very pessimistic, and then also US investor sentiment towards China might not be that good, but NIO is still leading the pack, doing very well. Never forget about this when you consider the whole entire picture. And don't ever forget that NIO's market share in the luxury EV space is increasing and not decreasing. But market share doesn't decide your stock price. And with the pessimism with investor sentiment, that just means that we're going to have a much better loading up opportunity in the future. And I can't wait to buy more once it gets lower. What do you guys think about this whole Evergrande BS in Chinese economy? Everyone's so pessimistic. Unless there's some injection of optimism, things aren't going to get much better. The bad news just comes one after the other, like punches. All right, see you in the next one. Peace out.